Okay, so starting another turn here of the Macher, and well, we're at the party conferences, and Green has once again the most votes in place. They've been the ones converting things ahead of time the most, and overall winning. They didn't want to do anything with party conferences. Red threw one in order to change their position to anti-abortion. And Yellow, well, Yellow has such a pile of these that they spent the $500 to commit one just to get themselves some more party bases over here. They know they're not going to win, but they might as well make as big an effort as they can. Converting their positions didn't look like it would help at this point. It might in some of the later actions. Grabbing some additional party bases might help. These are just in pawn. So, all right. So they don't help the local elections at all. Now we go to the card deployment. And again, people have a decent amount of money, so we may see a good deal of these going on. So now after playing the Shadow Cabinet, Red threw their big Chancellor into play here to get their popularity way up here. Green threw someone in place, I guess Party Whip or something like that. Again, upping his popularity. He had some options, but he didn't want to move the double marker off his NATO no. Well, Black ended up moving it anyway to the NATO yes marker over here. It screwed up. I corrected that. I had replaced one card and then ended up putting another one that needed to be replaced. You got to kind of watch that. Otherwise, you might end up with an inconsistent situation. Yellow also played in here in order to... Nobody took media. Well, he must have done something. I don't see what. He paid the money. Maybe he played the NATO marker. Yeah, he played the NATO marker, and Black played theirs to increase their popularity. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Although Black's interested in that NATO marker as well. Basically, they're fighting against Green there. The coalition can't happen between these two. They're too far apart. They only have one thing they agree upon, which is anti-atomics. And then in the final one, nobody played anything additional there. Okay, so now I guess we move onward with purchasing media. And we'll see how that goes. Green gets first option. Yellow could block Green's advantage in media here, but I don't know how much they're interested in that. Likewise, Red could try to block Yellow's, but Yellow can always put another one, so there's no advantage there at all. All right, let's see if anybody buys any, and if anybody's likely. Basically, you're not going to buy it if you're not likely to win either control of the media or the election itself, so you can go to bond. You see some interesting shifts going on with some of the media choices. Green, for example, brought in a pro-abortion choice to getting rid of something that didn't really matter, but a couple of their opponents had anti-abortion stances, so they wanted to play off that. Likewise, though, over here, Black brought an anti-abortion stance in where it wasn't helping them, where there was a card that was hurting them a little bit. And finally, Yellow used their media power here to bring atomic power in favor over in the Rhineland Falls, because everyone else likes atomics so much that if they could decrease this, they would get a bonus on everyone, and they want to get that moved forward. Their chances of that are pretty low because anyone who can get power is going to oppose them, but they have the media control right now, and if they can get one more media cube, they win that. So it's possible that they might be able to force one of those atomic power value cards out of play, at least. A little bit of movement on the opinion polls here. These, I'm never sure what to bid on them. Bidding games are always tough for me, playing solitaire especially, but no matter what. But we're seeing here, I think Yellow got hit. The intended targets, whoever won it, I think Black won it, but I'm not sure. Couldn't get the traction they wanted, and likewise with some of the others, you're seeing some movement. This one went for, I think, 600 a pop. This one for 700 a pop. We see some big changes there without a lot of real clear example of what's going to happen. This first one, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Red's got a pretty good strong position there with their thumb up. That's all, same as a double thumb up as a thumb up, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do the two assessments that don't get forced, and then we'll go to that one, and we'll see where we are. Got a collection of the votes here. Nobody turned in here, so nobody got the option to change things, but here the option went to black with the lead in the votes. But black is very happy with everything that's there. So we went to the final one, collected up the votes, and here they are. Green turned in a lot of chits and only got like 12 points. Red turned in 10 chits, is up to 40. It looks like Red's going to actually win this one just by pushing their popularity up. Even though Green had media control, etc. We'll see what that all totals out when we get to the actual calculation side, which is in a moment. So when we look over Hamburg, Red won an absolute majority at 360 versus a little over 150 for the rest. Then he got to move up to 3 cards over. He only wanted to move 2, and he got his media token. The 2 he moved, well, he moved a student mock. I don't know what else. Oh yeah, he canceled out the NATO. There was a NATO yes in there. He canceled that out. And then with collection, he was in good condition. Really everyone with the atomic is to collect a bunch of party base points. Yellow didn't get much at all, of course, but he's looking at trying to reverse that. Now we're going to collect the cash on this, and again, that's 10 times the value, so he'll be getting some 3,600 bucks, whereas others are getting very, very little. You want to kind of put some votes in just to get your 100 bucks, I guess. Otherwise, you kind of starve the same way as you might up in Road to the White House. Although it feels much less realistic than that. Now, and then we have to do the spending cards. So for donations, only 2 people grabbed them. The FDP with their free $500 one, and then the CDU, who's actually in second place, kind of a little distant, took the $1,000 church donation. Low risk, didn't get hurt with it. So everybody's got all their party base tokens in place. Green still got this big looking advantage with all those media tokens. I don't want to calculate everything out, but we got 2 more elections to go, both of which a little bigger than the last one, and both of which slanted towards the people who haven't necessarily been in as strong a position. In particular here, slanted towards black and yellow with that NATO yes, and most particularly yellow with the atomic yes. We'll see whether or not they can swing out a victory and maybe change the landscape a little bit there so that the atomic is less important. All right, onward. Okay, so in the party conferences, everybody played one. Green went for their big one, making 2 shifts in their position in favor of NATO and opposed to abortion now, as well as getting some party bases. That cost them 700 bucks. You definitely want to get your big one in play, I think, because of the shift. Now, everyone else has sitting on their big one still, which means they may be better positioned for the current last couple elections than you'd really like to be. You'd like to be shifting into those, and they're already in position for them. So it's kind of a little more painful, but you certainly want to get at least your 3 tokens, right? Well, Red ended up positioning themselves, I believe, into an anti-NATO position. No? No. Into an anti-abortion position. Oddly enough, the more left side, the green and red, are being seen as anti-abortion, which seems a little odd to me. But that was their positioning on this one. Yellow, I've got 2 here. I'm assuming I left 1 behind. If not, I placed 2 there this turn, but I've only taken 1 action. And in their case, their action was to position themselves in favor of atomic energy. With one of the elections already in favor of it, and them already positioned in power there, they want to try to make sure that that takes place. And if they can, they're going to try to push the Hessian election into an atomic energy referendum as well. Try to push back on the powers that be that have so much strength in that. I don't think it's going to work, but, you know, if you're going to lose an election, you might as well take the unpopular view, right? Make yourself completely marginal. Finally, black. Black really liked the positions that they hold, or can't see changing them and making an advantage, because some of them may not work well for the next elections, but they've already got a lot of positioning in pawn that they don't want to break. So for that, they grabbed some more party base, which is the other advantage of this. Pay $500, get some more multipliers into your pool. Now we're going on, and I just cannot remember the sequence of play without a card in front of me, or without it making more sense. We're going to go into the shadow cabinet, and boop, 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 and everybody will be paying cards. People have a lot of money, so we're going to see a lot more action going on towards the end here, I think. Well, with the deployment of the cabinet members, green ended up stealing a black media marker, which black is probably going to have to replace that to try to get control of the media there. Green can oppose them, of course. But if they don't, green can get control and sway things. There also was a number of Ks played, and the red-black coalition, the red one, it didn't happen. Instead, yellow ended up playing a K and linking with that. Red ended up linking with green, though. There's enough in common that coalitions can form pretty easily the way things have fallen out. Over here, black ended up moving with rhetoric the NATO vote into place. And they can score a lot more that way than they can any other way. So they pushed that into place rather than leaving it over here, although it was good for them there too. However, everyone has NATO, so it's not that terrible a value to them. It's just, out of all the possibilities, that seemed the most valuable at that moment. All right. Now we go, I guess, to purchasing the media tokens and seeing if anybody has enough control. And then we'll go to the campaign meeting in order to change some of the opinions. Well, situations conspired so that both campaigns are stuck with the media not under anybody's domination, which means nobody has the ability to control the issues. Also, because there's two from two different parties in each of the media boxes, well, that means that one party's shut out of the media right now. Most importantly, the red are shut out of this first election in Hessian. Rhineland Falls, it's possible that a card play could take a media space so that green, who's shut out, can force their way back in. But, sadly for them, green has no cabinet members left, so they're not going to be able to force their way into that one. Whether they win it or not, they won't be getting a media disc in it. All right, unless something weird happens that I don't know about. As to cubes, well, look, there's enough money that everybody can buy the $800 to put 4 cubes in each one, and everybody set themselves up so they have that many cubes. So everything's going into play there. Now comes the opinion polls, and it's a quick chance to run through those and see what we're going to get. The bids might go fairly high on here. Problem is, you do still want some cash for the next turn, but with a heavy commitment in this election by everyone, it means that some cash is going to get turned around anyway. So there probably will be enough for next turn anyway. So the points on the media opinion polls were high. The first one, I don't remember what it went for, over 1,000, but the second one, 2,100. And 2 draws. Red was unable to hurt green, which was their goal, and now they've got a thumb up instead, and they've got everybody but them and green and thumb down. Over here, black won it. I don't remember how much again, but they paid a significant amount, over 1,000 for the polls, and they managed to, improve their own position, I think, and maybe decrease someone. I don't remember what happened. Should show it here. CDU went up. Looks like SPD, the Reds, were knocked down a little bit. And Red is one of their opposing coalitions, so that's good enough. They wanted to hit one of those too. All right. Basically, the fact that there was a coalition, yellow is like, I'm not going to fund this. I'm just here to help you win this. But red and green are both fighting, and neither one was willing to spend their treasure on this. Red was willing to spend a little bit, but they're the ones who bought this at 2,100 a pop, fighting against green. So now they have very, very little money left going into the next round, whereas green has a significant amount and could probably buy opinion polls in the next one, assuming no one else throws all their cash in. We'll see how that all works out. Now after the polls comes the actual assessments, and we'll take care of Rhineland Falls first. So for the Rhineland Falls election, nobody committed big into converting their cubes right off. So we got kind of a close race, 4-4, 2-2, 2-1 actually. The one thing that you might have thought is maybe whoever went last, which in this case was red, could have said, you know, I want to force an issue in a direction I like. Atomics, though, there wasn't anything that could replace it with from the pile. However, he could convert more votes. Gets 2 votes each. Let's see, if he could get 1, 2, 4 more votes. Let's just cheat him here. He's at 8. That gives him enough to convert something. And he's going to pick something that works for him. It's not going to be atomic. He can't convert the NATO because that's a yes, but he can convert the atomic, which is bad for him, into something he likes. Most particularly, we'll look for that 35-hour work week or something along, or perhaps the anti-abortion. Just to get rid of the problem that he faces with his voting. The problem here is that helps other people as much as it helps him. So you know what? He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. That's 4 votes, 2 cubes. It's just not worth it. He can score more votes elsewhere, and it's not worth trying to change that at this point. Let's go on to the final election over in Hesse, see what that does to Bonn. Voting can be a little unpredictable, especially when the results end up having cubes flying all over the place, knocking the values. I'm not sure that this was what I had. I don't want to go back and look. I could have in the video, but with these kind of tracks, etc., instead of, say, a pegboard where you stick the markers in, I don't know why cubes are so popular and pegboards aren't, spilling a bunch of cubes knocked the score markers. I think they were at 0 for green and red. If I weren't videoing, there'd be no chance of figuring that out except by whatever people could remember. But in this case, I'm pretty sure they were at 0. Anyway, this is our final scoring, with black managing to score a big 50. And so that black-yellow coalition is going to win. Black's helping yellow along here. No question. The fact that they have an absolute majority means they're going to pull 3 votes, or 3 cards into play. And we'll pull those up. And let's see, black gets the first 2 calls, and they can grab the NATO. They like all of these. In particular, though, they want to shoot people that they don't like, right? Red has no NATO and no student walk, so they want those 2 in place. But yellow is likely to put the NATO up. So I'm going to put these 2 up, the student walk and the anti-abortion. Now the anti-abortion hurts yellow. Here yellow could say, the hell with you, I don't want the NATO one. But they do, and it's not like the NATO particularly, it just hurts red. It doesn't hurt green. So it's kind of a getting them all up. They agree more with me. Well, I should put them in place then. Now the student lock is going to go here. Or I don't know what that is. Stunden. And now I got to collect the values of votes, count them up and see where they actually go. I haven't actually added them. I should have. Crap. All right, we'll see what we can do. Okay, well, counting those votes, it turned out to be huge. I mean, absolutely. Let's take a look at what we had here. Back before, we would hit maybe 500, 600 for some of these. 1,500 votes for the CDU. Why? Well, a Big Ten mandate. All right, we've seen that before, right? We have. We've seen a 10 mandate before. Maybe not with 50 votes. On bigger areas, we've seen that 10 mandate show up. But with an agreement of 3 means 13 times. That can't be right. I multiplied these and then these. That's what's wrong. All right, that can't be right. Okay, 13 times 5 is something more reasonable. Let's just. How about 650? All right, because otherwise it looked like they won the game on this one. Easy enough to make a mistake, so I got to correct that. That's going to be 650. Still a big gain, though. Just not enough to win the game in one territory. And, well, when I have hands, I'll do this, and I'll spread the money out and do the other stuff, because this is angering me to try to do all this calculation on camera. But after taking the 2 seconds to add, which is hard to do on camera, we end up with 1842 for the CDU and only 1589 for the green. That means the CDU's in the lead now. I've got party bases to put out and cash to throw out, and there's going to be a lot of cash going into the black hands and not so much into the green. It's going to be kind of painful for them. And red, the good old SPD, made so little with 35, only 400 bucks, that when yellow took its free $500 pile, well, red said, I'm going to go for the max, 3 of them. And they lost 3 party bases. That's not terrible. It's not great, though. But they were kind of hoping to get the wild advantage and swing there and maybe get it all for free or something. They just don't have the cash to compete. They were kind of low on money. They're in 3rd place, so they wanted to take their shot at it. Right now, it looks like it's a horse race between green and black. Green a little behind in the votes total, position-wise. Now let's see what this one goes as. That one can't be. There we have it. So position-wise, this certainly favors black, I think. They both have the NATO solution. Atomic, they're both in opposition. The free market, neither one's interested in that. They could reposition there. And the 35-hour work week favors black slightly. It's not a huge advantage either way. Green has an extra vote in place. They have the same amount of pieces. Green has the advantage of more popularity, though. And it could well be that neither one is going to win this race. But they're the ones competing the most over in Bonn. Of course, if red takes this, or maybe even yellow, maybe it can swing enough. I don't think it's a big enough election that it can, though. We'll see how it all works out. This one's going up. The next one's going to be rather short, I fear, but maybe I'll babble a little bit about it at the end. I don't know how much, because I don't have a good grasp of what's happening in the game at any given time. So it's hard to kind of do that normal wrap that I do. It is going to be quite possible to talk about the review type side of it. All right, up we go.